visit, we can share. We are now this point. We were that time we were now in this position. So it is the best platform to develop a KPI for our institutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tamkin.
To answer your first question, though I have some of my colleagues sitting here who are representing the government, but I'll straight away say that, go ahead with it. Because see, few things, if they have to be done, they at times, they come as a mandate also. Because like I said, when we came here last time, we took it as a mandate, and only then we were able to do a lot of things, and also because the World Bank team and the colleagues, they just don't spare you, right? They just don't disappear. They just don't go away. I mean, I was so sure when I'm going to come here, a couple of them are going to look at me and say, now we have you, right? So, I mean, if that has to go as a mandate, and I think that should be done. Because, for example, a year back or two, we had this mandate that, I mean, in terms of the board representation, one female is mandatory, right? And it started happening across organizations, right? And then we were talking more about, okay, one female accepted, but then, we need to train these women to find their own voice, right, when they're sitting there. Or probably to give them that voice, we need to have at least two. But that was done. So again, to answer the same question, go ahead with it if that can be done. That will certainly help organizations. The second question that was that, how it can be further supported. I think that, overall things are moving in a wonderful direction. We needed support in terms of more, finding opportunities to connect with the education sector. And that was very well, established. I mean, I remember one day I mentioned it to Tahreem, and the next day I had, a person, nominated as a representative, and I couldn't find the time to connect with the person. But, I mean, that is taken care of. Maybe one more thing that can be done is because we get to meet here, we get to share a lot of best practices, right? With sometimes sitting in Pakistan also across, the region we are unable to do. I mean, with those who are representing the Pakistan, the country. So maybe one thing that can help is that if, we can have monthly webinar sessions where maybe it's one country or one organization in focus, and other gets to participate in that session, poll questions. And if that country can specifically, or that organization can share, what they have done, what are the new initiatives they are doing, so that a lot of knowledge sharing ideas. I know there are quarterly reports, running around, and you can have access to the information that people have done. But I feel there can be so much more that we can have access to, because the challenges of the regions are more or less similar. So something like that is really going to help us, keep a connect, not just from the people development and retention perspective, even from the business perspective as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So yes, if it goes as a mandate, of course, the company will be forced to put movements in the projects. And as far as my experience and capabilities are concerned in the Pargit, we have women of all domain, and they have a sufficient good knowledge in terms of like executing the projects, transmission projects, as well as doing the distribution work. Now, what I believe is every utility has a different kind of experiences, issues, and some have done some expertise work in some specific domain area, some have done something, and they have faced a different kind of challenges in the different sectors. So we can have a more short-term programs or long-term program for different kind of issue, different kind of challenges where ladies can specially participate, female workforce can participate and come up with share their ideas candidly, so that these ideas can be shared among the ladies women where we struggle in our organization to find a right mentor or a right technical expertise. So such kind of forums will help the female executives to put forth their ideas, put forth their issues and challenges that they face in the organizations. So more such short-term programs, long-term programs, medium-term programs, or exchange kind of programs with different international utilities will help us to share our knowledge and also gain expertise and knowledge in a specific domain areas. That's what my idea is.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Coming to the first question, if the World Bank we can give loans, and that the company should provide targets and females to be hired or to be trained. So it's a good idea. But our company really encouraged the women to join DAPS in the energy sectors. And even we had the experience that before the World Bank provide the opportunities that 20 female graduate students from technical sections, they have been trained in the relevant to their field of education, and also they provided some fee for them as well. And it was really supportive, was very supportive for the women, and especially those women who got trained, they were hired in DAPS as well. So it is really good if they set a target for the recruitment or for the training and development of the women. I agree with this point of view. And also about the education of women, I believe that in my country, especially in the technical sections, most of the girls or most of the families, they think that there is no job opportunities for the women when they once graduated from the university. So mostly they do not prefer this technical section. So we have to encourage them by having some success story of the women who are working in this energy sectors, like from DAPS. We can put or announce these success stories in the universities and then school levels as well, that they should be encouraged that their field of education is well used by the energy sectors, and they can have a good employment opportunity in the future. So that would be very useful in the future. Thank you.
Mariam, what do you think?
I think it's a brilliant idea. We actually, in one of our water projects, we actually have a similar mandate. And we have been working with the ministry, with the regulatory bodies and stakeholders, other stakeholders like island councils, schools, and also island communities to encourage women participation. And we have been even formulating policies, and it has been quite successful so far. And I think having the similar mandates in ADB projects as well as World Bank projects will strengthen the initiative further. And as for the things that we can gain from the WePOWER network, we have even been trying to promote STEM education in the schools, especially in the islands that we serve. And we have held sessions to encourage students and even to make them aware of the opportunities in the sector. And we are even partnering with NGOs to promote STEM education. But the challenge that we face is that we don't get many female professionals in the engineering field. So if our students can actually get awareness about female engineers working worldwide or in an international, working internationally as well, maybe they will be able to understand the scope or the career pathways they can have. So it's the type of collaborations that we are looking forward from this WePOWER network.
Thank you very much. So we are preparing a new project in the Maldives. So I think we'll find a way to put in a mandate. Sanjay, what do you think?
I like the hard way, real honesty, because this is the only way to push the leadership. This is the only way to push the politicians, the policymakers. That this how we can, the World Bank and ADB can give funds. See, basically, in general, the South Asian countries are developing countries. We need a lot of assistance and help, right? So if you give us, it's like a carrot and sticks, right? So you can do like that. But at the same time, I feel like, from my experience, the ADB and the funding ADB or World Bank should also understand the ground realities. Sometimes whatever you impose, because you people, in general, the World Bank and ADB, they work in theory, but you should also the ground reality. You cannot compare Bhutan with Maldives or Pakistan or any other countries, right? The situation is different. For instance, like in rural, the solar energy, it was funded, initially it was funded by ADB. It was failure, right? The project was failure. But then ADB later on came back and discussed with the BPC. And we found, how can the solar project be sustainable? So we found like, if we combine the solar project with the on-grid works, the women can work in the field. At least they can, there's sustainability, they get a lot of income. But if you work only for the solar, there's not much benefit for the women to work in the field. Just now the project was successful because we combined the solar and on-grid together, so there's a lot of income. So in terms of now WePOWER, it's good that when I heard the first term, the WePOWER, it's Kile she's a vocal person from BBC. She said, like, so let's have a WePOWER awareness. I said, what is WePOWER? I thought like we means we, the people, no power. Then she said, no, it's a women empowerment. Then she said, like, I want to attend. I was asking her, no, it's only for women. Why? No, I'm an HR director. I want to attend. I want to see how things are going. And it's good that I attended. And it's like surprising, I said, like, you need 2 hands to clap. If without my participation, how can we give support? In fact, we were encouraging. Then I think very good. I think you can see her presentation, most probably in the afternoon. I'm the only male in the women, about 40 groups, I said, like, next time onwards, BPC should the men should equally participate in WePOWER thing. Because, right, ultimately, who are we? We are a husband, we are a brother. Like, yeah, we are husband, we can all work together. We cannot achieve all things. So then we come up with so many solutions. So we said, like, as you are saying, we have all similar to what you are saying, like, we want to come up in BPC, we want to come up with substations, lines, transmission, fully run by women. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. But I said, like, you people need HR support. Oh, sir, it's good, now we'll try like that. So at least luckily that there are 2 ladies from the management also participated, they're full support. Simple thing like providing, how can we provide a conducive environment for the women? Just basic, in fact, I will proudly say that BPC is the first company in Bhutan to provide sanitary pad bin for the women in the women's toilet. I think this is what we provided. Because you should provide a good environment for the women to work so that you feel more comfortable, Then we also discuss how can we make a sexual harassment report directly, not to the management, directly to the NGOs, so that women feel safely. So we have to come up so many processes. And also, like, we also discuss next year, because especially if you want to really empower the women, we need the policymakers, ministers, politicians. So we decided that next year onwards, we are going to celebrate Women's Day or WePOWER Day by inviting some of the Prime Minister, if possible, or like we have a Women's Minister in Bhutan, we want to invite that one. So we have to come up with a list of things. That's how we are going to do.
Thank you very much. Please.
For the first question, we have many ADB projects, and already in these projects there are plenty of women. And for the second question, after the first forum in Nepal, we have organized a WePOWER program for women. Not me, Himali has organized this, and you don't believe many women engineers were there, but it was very interesting to all women. All were very happy for that. But the interesting thing is, all the men engineers also very interested. They were very interested, what is the next jump they are going to do? Then all were very interested. Then I think in future, a lot of things we can do as women. We can organize many things. And in addition to that, we are having a lot of competitions. We are organizing in inter-schools and organized some forums for women as the main utility in Sri Lanka.
World Bank and ADB is our old partner, financial partner before 15, 20 years back. Now many financial partners come in power sector in Bangladesh, but still 1 or 2 projects going on. Not new project, it's going on, or should be finished this financial year. So we can play a positive role about World Bank and ADB. And the second question is that it is the second forum. I am first forum, 2 people come with our financing. Yes, with our financing. And when I saw 1 people need from BPDB, then I asked Mrs. Tanuja, why 1 people? We can send several people with our financing in this second forum. So I think in next program, it should be increased from BPDB because they are hopeful to do something in this forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shanti, you are on the ADB side, so you're slightly biased. But what do you think about all this?
So I think, let me start with what we already do in education is that when we look at education and training for jobs and to support specific sectors, we already have indicators there that promote the equal participation of women. And we have gender hawks like Francesco looking into the DMFs of project proposals to ensure that the gender concerns are mainstream. So from the education perspective, we struggle hard to make sure that not only equal opportunity for training, but also equal opportunity for job placements. So increasingly we are requiring training providers to ensure job placements, which then also address gender parity or equal opportunity for women and girls. We also struggle very hard to promote the participation of women in training for courses that are non-traditional, such as this one, which are more hardcore engineering occupations, which are not like, you talk about environment sectors, in wastewater management, engineering sectors. So which is not so popular for women. We also struggle hard to ensure that women do participate wherever there are economic opportunities. And I would like to add here that to help to ensure women's participation, it should be across the value chain in the sector, and that could be across the board. And not only in the sort of technical level, but like everybody mentioned, leadership is equally important. So for that, we increasingly find that not only technical skills, we need to invest a lot in soft skills or creativity and teamwork skills. So under this whole 21st century skills domain, which make people more successful in applying technical skills at the workforce. So how to have training institutions pay more attention to that so that women are equally competitive and equally capable to chart their own career path and to be able to aspire for leadership positions and not settle for just routine jobs. The other thing I would, as an example, I would like to say that if we want conditionalities to be imposed, I think it's a good thing. It also puts the sort of the focus on the sort of like whether we do safeguards or gender. It helps to pay attention to equity, to social and environmental safeguards and so on. But we have to also think about the pipeline. So how will organizations meet those? For instance, the talent pipeline. It's a critical concern. If there are no trained females available to be hired, all the conditionalities you put will just add to the pressure of the company to look, or they will just hire somebody who may not be very capable. So that building the talent pipeline is very crucial. And in this aspect, we are starting to promote more and more partnerships between training institutions and companies for more in-company training. Like you mentioned, the apprenticeship programs are really not very gender-friendly so far. So we would really like to promote, since internships, apprenticeships lead to job placements, how to bring in industry and industry partners into the training institutions to partner more strongly, bring the mentors, bring the career coaches to talk about these issues and to be able to build the talent pipeline that's needed. A good example is the Energy and Utilities Skills Partnership that was launched in 2017 in the UK. So this is a partnership with all the major power and utility companies, and they're really concerned about the large number of people who are retiring from the sector and the already tight pressure on the talent, attracting the requisite talent, and how to work with companies and training institutions to build the so similar like pan sector, like not just focusing on companies, but a more sectoral approach to look at talent development so that there's a clear future forecasting of what kind of jobs are likely to be there, sustainable jobs are likely to emerge, in what categories, in what levels, and what will be the skills required to fulfill them. So that kind of more long-term planning and sector planning would help to meet the requirements.
First of all, thank you that you brought this point, because that was the point one I fully supported. The second was I had this point for that steering committee to discuss. We wanted to bring this point. And just to further, just to link it, at the present as well, whatever loans are given, especially for the hydel development projects, it includes a lot of resettlement, which includes the social safeguards. Now, those social safeguards are, the World Bank and ADB, before, even at the stage of, while they are evaluating the loans to be dispersed, there are certain requirements which are expected, or which by the lender country has to, fulfill, which includes the gender, how it's going to affect it, what we are going to do about it, women empowerment, the employment opportunities. That includes the basic education, and that too, the gender-biased education. Now, and there is a lot of part of the loan which is allocated for the social safeguards in any of the loan which is dispersed. So linking it with the title of WePOWER, I think no country should have objection to it, because they are already fulfilling those pre-loan criteria, which is part of all these elements of education, gender discrimination, and these all elements are covered into it, one. Second is, basically, this is otherwise a responsibility, especially in terms of a displacement and resettlement projects, which most of the hydel projects involve sort of resettlement, and this needs to be addressed. Coming over to the second point, which was what sort of a value it has, and what sort of impediments we have interfaced while doing this WePOWER initiatives. I think there is no question about the value it has added. It's very simple to understand. Whatever this WePOWER initiative, its pillars, which may be the retention of it, retention of the women and workforce, motivating them, recruiting them, are the STEM education. These are basically the essential ingredients for any national development, because most of the countries of the South Asia, what they lack is the women participation. They are like 51% of the total population, but their participation in the workforce, as has been shown, even in a very developed countries as well, it is 16, 17%. In our cases, it is 6%, 7%. So for any sustainable development, if that's the road which any country needs to do, the women participation into the national grid is not a choice. It's mandatory. It's a call of the day. It needs to be listened by all, by the policymakers, by politicians, by bureaucrats, by the public institutes. This needs to be done. And I think there is a lot of awareness already into it. And what we are doing it, if I take the particular example of any institute, like our institute, whatever I'm doing, I'm getting benefit of it. That is the betterment of my institution. That's a strategic thinking which needs to be done of today. So these all steps which are, going on a ladder step by step. So what we are doing, I think, and we have, in 2018, I would like to share, out of 120 engineers which we enrolled, there were 48 women engineers enrolled into WABDA. That's a very high figure. And, once we say that it's very difficult, it's a matter of the mindset. It's a matter of changing the perception. Now, perception are linked with your culture. Perceptions are linked with your norms. Perceptions are linked with your, the way you live and you had been living. So you need to change it. And change is always, you have a lot of impediments, and especially all over the world, but especially in this part of the world, it's a man-dominating society where the space for the woman is very less. And one is this issue, which is impediment. The second impediment, which is, it's a natural impediment. Women has to be have a mother. I mean, as a mother, to look after the children and the house. I mean, I was just going through a study which says that a man gives 36 minutes to the house cover, and the woman's average spends 6 hours. You know, and imagine it, put it on a woman which is a working woman. So how much stress she has, and how much she well or concentrate she can do on the work. I mean, these are natural, some of the impediments which women has to actually face. We as a man are the institutions, are the policymakers, can only support them at the workplace, support them at home. So I absolutely agree with my friend from Bhutan, his point that you need to have, even for this initiative of WePOWER, you need to have a proper representation of men. Men who can represent, who can voice it to appropriate levels, and even it's for women, but to implement it, to execute it, and even to have a men perspective, how we see the things, and what the impediments which are mostly created by us. So how can, I mean, we support and suggest to overcome those. So in the end, I will just conclude by saying that it's of a great value to our institution, and I think to all of the institutions which are undertaking these projects and supporting it. It's a call of the day. Thanks.